Oh, well, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Wasn't going to do a video tonight. Uh, my birthday was yesterday, and my son's birthday was a couple days ago. So we got together, hung out, and went fishing yesterday. Prior to that, I'd been working in the shop trying to build something so I could load my 12-foot aluminum boat, trolling motor, battery, uh, with an electric winch. I was trying to figure out a easier way for me to get out in the future. Close, but as the old saying goes, close but no cigar. Still needs some tweaks, but it was a good learning experience that I hope to be able to share on the channel in the next few weeks. So being it was a pretty bad crash day and I had to spend most of the day just sitting in the recliner, I had to do some research for my mom with her physical issues and medical issues. Give me just a second here. And it got me thinking a lot about all the other stuff coming down the road that we're limited with in this day and age. She's 79. I just turned 52. And I don't know what's going to be there for my kids. My son just turned 22. Where are things going to be in 20, 30 years for him? It's not looking good. And not enough people are talking about that, in my opinion. It's part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing with the website and the guild especially. Because even though my main focus is on healthier food recipes for people like me, other people with celiacs and Crohn's, colitis, hereditary fructose intolerance, the works, things that are triggered, medical issues that are triggered by our corporate food aspect. The other big issue with what I'm trying to build is, how do I encourage other disabled, elderly, chronically ill, and physically limited people to join up and be part of this? Sometimes that's really hard to explain. And I understand that because I've gone through it myself. With all my experience, with all my knowledge, I can't just go out in the shop and build cutting boards or make knives or fix cars or go to somebody's house and fix a house. I've had to pull everything back and figure out how I can work around my limitations. That's not stuff that is generally out there on YouTube or in books or in school or anything else. Nobody is teaching that kind of thing. And having a crash day like today again, I thought it was pretty important to get it on the record, put it out there. For those of you that don't know, I've been doing this on my own for quite a few years now. I've tried finding other people to work with, which hasn't worked out really good because of the fact that, I don't have every single thing laid out that someone with limited energy could just pick up and take off on doing. So today I spent some time working on all of the different options, especially for people who aren't as bad off as I am. I really wanted to put something together that other people with diet restrictions especially could possibly do within their limits. Be part of the community in their area and have a work from home kind of situation that would allow them flexible hours, not having to be stuck in that 9 to 5 rut or, third shift overnight aspect. There's so much possibility out there that doesn't get talked about, because most of the time that possibility comes from being your own boss and working for yourself and knowing people in your area, building a client base. And that's, not, let me put it this way. It's like not selling to the public. That's kind of the key with the guild idea that I'm working with. You don't have to market. You don't have to spend a shit ton of money on advertising. Being part of the guild, if you're celiac, but you don't have hip issues and all the other physical limitations that someone like me does, you can go out there and work with people in your neighborhood, in your area. All you have to do is, be honest, trustworthy, and show up on time and understand that, there are other people with worse issues than you that you might have to reschedule some things here and there. That would go miles as far as building a business on your own. And everything that I've been working on, small investments in all reality, something you could start off doing part-time, build upon, and within 2 or 3 years, yeah, I struggle with the, like utopian. This sounds so utopian and unachievable. Well, it's not. It is not. The only people that say that it's utopian are people that have never actually had to be around medically frail, disabled, handicapped, whatever you want to call it, physically limited type of person. Elderly, especially. That one just really, wow. I've noticed lately that a lot of the younger generation just thinks that elderly people go to a nursing home and they're fully taken care of, and that's, they don't understand what it costs to do something like that. And they don't understand that doing that, doesn't matter how much money you have, you're probably not going to be getting the best service for your money. I don't know what I ended up with today. Maybe 30 different home businesses people could create as part of the guild that would not just help other people, but train. That's a really important part of the guild and what I have going through my brain. People like me who have a lifetime of knowledge and experience and tools, but I can't physically do the work anymore. Here's a huge opportunity for people. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily say I would sell anything to these people. If I could find a younger kid that wanted to learn small engine repair, for example, awesome. How would you think about maybe mowing lawns and doing weed eating, yard work? Nothing huge, very simple things. Mower, weed eater, maybe a wheelbarrow and a shovel or a rake. Very simple stuff, very limited investment. Might need a truck, but you wouldn't need a trailer. And you wouldn't need top of the dollar, commercial grade, huge lawnmowers. Just take the jobs that you could do. And I would like everything that I see down the road to be other people that do have disabilities and limitations. There's a lot of people that are celiac or HFI that are completely normal in every other aspect. And that's great. Lucky them. They're not always going to be that way. Eventually, at some point, they're going to get older and things are going to go downhill, and they're going to need people to help them out too. I don't think there's a way to make this a short video. I might have to break this down into like 20 different videos. But I wanted to just nail down the main ideas tonight. Like I said, went fishing with my son yesterday. All the work I did on the truck and winch and boat to make it easier for me to go out on my own. Or, and that has a lot to do with the fact that, hey, it would be great to take other people out, other disabled people. That doesn't get talked about enough because there really aren't any, let's say, disabled friendly tour guides or anything like that in my area. So that would be kind of cool. There are certain lakes with boat docks that I could use the electric winch to get the boat into the water, and somebody with limited steps, limited physical capabilities could at least get off the boat dock into the boat, and we could go spend a couple hours fishing. The other aspect that I was really working with today was all of the potential home businesses that could grow out of the guild. I don't know what I worked on today, maybe 20 different home businesses. It was a lot. Gardening, personal driver for, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to rewrite the script on that because it's hard to explain how big this could be for people. But it boils down to the simple fact that I would rather see 1,000 home businesses start up that, whether they could invest or get grants or donations, or I could help them start out, like $500 worth of equipment and supplies, and they could take it from there on their time. The amount of money and stuff that would get saved, the amount of waste, that's a huge one too. I've said it before. Climate activists should absolutely love what I am trying to design. No shipping, everything local. I get it. It's not a popular idea. A lot of people think it's crazy. It's doable. It's very, very doable. It just takes the right people to bring it together. And you compare that to, you compare that to a couple of big mass-produced kind of factories or whatever you want to call them, and there's no accountability there. If they poison 10,000 people, whoop-de-doo. They don't. Legally, not much you can do about it. But if John Doe in Chicago poisons 10 people, well, it's pretty easy to root out that small problem, because that's the whole idea behind all of this. Accountability, and at the same time giving people the opportunity to work from home, flexible schedules. You don't have to send your kids off to daycare because you could be keeping them at home while you're doing this work. In most cases, not all cases, but so what's that actually look like? Well, for the healthier people that are part of the guild eventually, you've got lawn care, snow removal, errand running, grocery shopping. For people who can't read every labels themselves, you've got handyman, automotive repairs, hauling, resale, estate sales, funeral planning. The list is huge. Recording, if you've got a couple of cameras and a laptop and a couple of lights, you could go out and help other people create food channels that could be part of the community, which helps everybody out between ad revenue, sponsorships, etc. There's the document, history, what do you call it? Archiving. That's at this day and age, archiving could be a huge business for people that are stuck in a chair for the most part. A couple of simple things, maybe $500 to $600 worth of equipment. And people wouldn't have to be sending their prized memories across the country. You could take it over to someone in your neighborhood, drop off a box, a couple days later, get it all back. Again, something that climate activists should be jumping all over, but I'll probably get nothing but hate for saying something like that. we also have the volunteer side of this idea of the guild, the peer support. You know, I'm looking into building the chat room on grainfreeme.com for anybody. You know, you don't have to be completely disabled. You just have to have that idea of wanting to eat healthier and understand the limitations of people like me, that we can just jump into a chat room, whether it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning. Some of that stuff, you know, is a little bit more personal than what most people would feel comfortable talking about in a chat room. So I'm looking at bringing in possibly retired pastoral care, hospice, estate planning, funeral mortician kind of thing, EMTs, volunteer fire department, volunteer rescue, people that still want to be connected to the community but can't physically go out there and do it anymore. I think that's really important. And I'm looking at everything, you know, nurses, dietitians, anybody that's willing to help other people get through all of this stuff. And it only makes sense to me. You know, for someone like me, it only makes sense. So some of the other stuff that is going to fall into this category on the webpage and encourage people to look into is everyday stuff that most people don't think about anymore, and most people don't think that they could do from home. There is so much you could do from home as a disabled, elderly, physically limited person. Fresh herbs. I mean, that one's super simple. A couple of shelves, couple of grow lights, you know, all you have to do is water it and a pair of scissors to cut it, and you could sell it to neighbors, friends, and family. If you wanted to go a step further, you know, you could dehydrate it. Buy a $100 dehydrator. Knife sharpening. That's another huge one that I mean, if you want to get ridiculous about this, let's say you live in a 100-person apartment complex. That's 99 people other than you that have knives that need to be sharpened on a regular basis. Most people would just throw it away. But if they could have someone local in their own apartment building, $5 to $10 to sharpen per knife, that's a lot cheaper than $50, $100 to buy a new knife that you throw away every 3 to 6 months. 3D printing is another huge one. Making spice racks that people can easily hang up. Making tool holders for disabled people and physically limited people. Like I said earlier, the media preservation and being a photographer or videographer for someone that wanted to create videos reproducing their family's recipes. And then, you know, another one that I don't talk about very much, but I think it would be great, is people that wanted to learn tarot cards, for example. It's especially around Halloween time. Uh, Tarot cards are, in my opinion, something that could be brought back into mainstream society, especially for elderly, chronically ill, and disabled people. Because with brain fog, for example, a lot of people would have a lot easier time working with tarot cards with the right person than going to a therapist or counselor, because there's that, brain fog is so hard to deal with. And that's one of the beauties of tarot cards. It was kind of designed to, tarot card never was about telling the future for someone. It was originally, I guess you could compare it to like an ink blot in some studies. It's just my experience. With the right person, when you ask somebody, if you're going to learn how to do tarot cards, it has to be about the other person, and you have to know the right questions to ask them, and it has to be focused on one question, not, this whole tarot cards tell the future is BS. And the theory is sound, in my opinion, because I've done it enough over the years to be able to say that, look, if you do it this way, and you have to use the cards to get the person to think about that question. Okay, so this is your question. This is what you're stuck on. And for chronically ill people like myself, that's a absolutely everyday question that we ask ourselves. How do I get unstuck? How do I get through this? And tarot cards, in my opinion, would almost be the easiest way to get people through these hard times. On the same note, if someone wanted to learn how to do it for spooky but not scary in the, Halloween season, that would be a great way for someone who's chairbound to make a good amount of money. I think, last research I did, it was like $40 to $50 an hour that people are willing to pay. And you could do that consciously by dressing up a little bit, maybe decorating, and you don't even have to do it in your own home. You could go out and find some of the festivals and amusement parks and stuff. It's a huge possibility I wish more people would look into. And that goes into everything else, seamstresses, blacksmithing. It's just huge, that the amount of stuff that people could do from home that, nobody thinks about. Making decorations. That's a huge one too. So yeah, again, kind of, a lot of these dying skills that could be brought back to life, especially for people that are disabled, retired, and physically limited. I've lived through it too, when I crashed in 2020, with all my shops, with all my knowledge, I, having to go through like disability interviews. I guess I lucked out. I had a good judge, and, after 3 years of fighting through it, I had that hour conversation with the judge and told him, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I used to do. And he just, he was pretty cool judge. And he's like, you had a very full life, and I hope you can figure out a way to share some of that with other people down the road. But I understand you can't work a regular job anymore. And that's important that somebody recognized that. I think that's part of the issue that a lot of people deal with when going through the disability system. They don't ask those questions per se on the applications. There's another one that somebody could do as a side hustle from home. If there was a ex-lawyer, maybe offer your assistance to help other people, and then learn from what it's like talking to other disabled people in the guild to say, this is what it might take to get disability to a point where, for me, I hate being on disability. I never talk about that. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Because it's like just enough to survive, but it's not enough to pay the bills. I would rather not be on it at all. And eventually, hopefully, I won't have to be. I want to give other people that opportunity too. Instead of just saying, hey, I'm just going to sit here, become part of the couch or the bed, and just slowly deteriorate. I want to give people that hope, that opportunity to say, well, okay, I could do that. I could make spice mixes, or I could dehydrate food. I could garden a little bit. People need something to keep them going. It weighs on my heart every day. And I am a stubborn Taurus son of a gun. I have my bad days like today that if I didn't have grain-free me, yeah, I would probably throw in the towel. I might be doing drugs, which a lot of people my age do. They go work their regular job, but then they're either stoned or drunk the rest of their life. Blessing and a curse, I guess you could say, thinking about all of this and everything I've seen over the last few years and over my entire life. So, why do this? Well, it's a stepping stone, like I just said. I hate seeing people struggle and suffer, and looking at the way society is working right now, the younger generations, in my opinion, are going to be pretty screwed. Even with AI and even with all the information on YouTube, there's going to be a lack of working and having community with other people. That's huge. That's something not a lot of people talk about. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of kids that go down the AI route or social media influencers, but there's not going to be anybody around to take care of them and help them out in 20 years at this point. They don't even, they can't. They're kids. They cannot see what's coming down the road. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. One step. Get started now. You know, just that one step is going to be huge in 5 years. And it's scary to take that chance. I get it. I understand. But if you don't take that chance, there's nothing. Well, that went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but it is what it is. And I'm going to upload this, have it transcribed, and then do a update video using this breakdown, I hope. Another important fact is, you know, this is another one of those things that I didn't add to the list that people could do on a crash day from a saddle stool or a wheelchair. And sometimes that's the best information that can get put out there. It's honest. It's, you know, might go around the track a few times, but it's honest. And this is what reality is with chronic illnesses, ME, CFS, long COVID, and other issues. So that's it. That's all I've got for now. Signing out from Grain for Me in Fremont, Nebraska. Take care, guys. See you next time.